Daria Berenato is joining us here on Busted Open. I gotta be honest with you, Daria. Your name is much better than Sonya Deville. Was never a big fan of that name anyway.
Hunter was like, okay, we'll come up with a different first name then. And so I picked Sonya because like Sonya Blade, Mortal Kombat. I thought it was cool. And then,
Okay.
yeah, that's how it became.
I think Daria is more badass. So I'm
Yeah, I
glad.
like Daria.
Yeah, I do it. Obviously you do because it's your name. But and also you represent New Jersey, and I'm a
Yes.
Jersey guy through. I've lived in New Jersey my entire life by choice. So
Yes.
I'm a Jersey guy. So there you go. So we have a lot in common.
It's very underrated. People think of Jersey, they think of the city, they think of Newark or Trenton. And I'm like, no, it's the Garden State for a reason. I live like in the woods. It's beautiful.
So let me ask you, because obviously in this world, and not only the world of pro wrestling, but the world of entertainment, you have a lot of different options. But when that option was taken away with the WWE, what was your first reaction? Because I was surprised by it because you're being featured on TV every week.
Yeah, that's the weird part. I'm all for like a release when like you've been sat home for 2, 3 months. You kind of feel it coming. You have like that knot in your stomach and you're waiting for the Connecticut number to come up on your phone. But that wasn't the case. We were featured heavily in the Royal Rumble, my faction PFC. Like we had a great showing and it was booked that way. And so I really had no idea. And we were in the middle of negotiating for a new contract because mine was coming to expiration. And so everything was seemingly going good. So I was definitely shocked.
For me, when I got the news, I was like actually watching a segment on Twitter of you promoting a show, right? The day before, and they were asking you about like your experience working with WWE and everything. So when you received that call or you like got the news, like what was your first thought? Were you like freaking out? Did you kind of like had a plan just in case, or it was just like, oh, okay, it happened?
Yeah, well, so it's weird. I'm a very big like believer in like everything happens for a reason. So like
Mm-hmm.
as much as I wanted to be pissed or upset, like I went right into like, okay, that happened how it happened. There's no sense of me trying to figure out why because I'll probably never know why. When you get those phone calls, well, at least for me, it's very much like, hey, we're going our separate ways. Thanks for everything. Have a good day. It was a 30-second phone call. So I'm not gonna get any more than that. So there's no energy to be wasted on trying to figure out why or what if. I put in like 110% over the last 10 years, specifically last 2 years coming back from the ACL injury. And people don't know, but I was flying down to Orlando and training at the performance center. And that was my decision. That wasn't anyone telling me go train. It was my decision because I wanted to be the best that I could possibly be. And so when you put everything you have into something, you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of like wash your hands of it and not have any regrets because it's like I gave them all that I had to give at this point in my life in this time. And they didn't want it. And that's fine. So it was shock initially. And then it was like, okay, I have so many dreams and passions. I have so many things that I've been hustling and working for more than a decade. So I was like, okay, what's next?
Well, I was gonna ask, what is
What?
next? No, I mean, honestly, like, and I've seen all your interviews, and you have a great attitude because it could be as simple as I wanted $5, they wanted to pay me $3, and then they just said, "Well, we're not coming to terms. That's it." I mean, and it could be as simple as that.
Right. Yeah. And I like to preface this with like when we were in negotiations, it was not a scenario where I was like, I'm worth $5 million. And then they came back and were like, screw you. You think, the numbers we were talking were very humble. I know what all the other women get paid. We all talk. And so it wasn't anything like that. It was very much so just the end of a contract. Let's talk about what's next. I kind of knew my worth and where I stood on the card at that moment and asked for accordingly. Um, but yeah, I have so many things that came up in such a weird way at the exact time that the contract was ending. I just booked my first film project, which I'm sure you saw, Tommy, when you were watching the other interviews. But like acting has been something that I've wanted to do since I was 12 years old. And it was a part of the WWE that I loved the most. Yeah, I started out as like the MMA fighter and didn't speak much, but then my character really evolved into more of a promo person. And so that's where I thought I thrived most. And that's what I really enjoyed. So I'm excited to kind of unravel that box and be able to experiment in that world. That's something that me and my team are really focusing on. And then my wife and I just launched our podcast, Unwrapped. So that's kind of the two things that I have my focus on, while all the other stuff is settling and I'm weighing my options. I have had a couple conversations with different people, but I haven't come to any final decisions yet on what I want to do next in the wrestling or fight world.
Something that I really admire about you is like how open you've been about, your sexuality and how much it means to you. I mean, you're married with a woman, and you are a huge leader in the LGBTQ plus community. How are you going to utilize now your platform and the freedom that you have to continue to support this group?
Yeah, it's so funny because the LGBTQ community was like the forefront of rallying behind me when I got released. And like they were angry for me. I wasn't even angry, but they were like, they're so loyal and so passionate. And I've had a lot of outpour from like communities like GLAAD, just trying to support me in my next steps. But yeah, I've always said this. I feel like my representation is me being who I am and whatever I do next. And I'm so happy to hopefully be a pathway for other people watching that are in the community or just can relate to me in general. Like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. So yeah, I just live my life and hopefully inspire people along the way. But yeah, I'm just being me.
And I love the attitude, like you said, that it's like everything happens for a reason. And there's a
Yeah.
reason behind this as well. And, I was talking about it with Tommy and Thunder before you joined us, and about your MMA background and how they were finally tapping into that a lot, where it's like, yeah, you're a legit badass. Like, you can probably beat the hell out of most of the women and men in the locker room because of your background. And that's why it was also surprising as well, because it's the same thing with Shayna Baszler. She's a credible MMA athlete. Like, I'm surprised they didn't tap more into that background.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like when I first started, I was the first kind of female with the MMA background. And so it was cool. And that was my character. But then as my character started to evolve, it was kind of like we really dropped the MMA stuff. But it was also at the same time they decided to sign Rhonda, Shayna, Jessamine, and Marina, the kind of four horsewomen of MMA. And so I was fine kind of departing from that part of my personality and my character because I was like, I have other stuff to offer. Let them be the forefront of the MMA movement in the women's division. But it was kind of lost too because I still had both. Like Daria still encompasses both of those things and all of those things. So yeah, I felt like it was kind of a missed opportunity to not capitalize on that more, especially with our group forming. Yeah, I felt like there could have been a more clear direction in where we were going and what we could have done and what we could have brought to the table. I saw PFC working kind of only under one umbrella, and I saw it working if we were three chicks that were fed up with the system, anti-authority, that were gonna just kick ass and take names. And that doesn't mean winning every match by any means. It was just more like, let's beat people up backstage. Let me be more like the puppeteer manipulator behind the scenes because of my history as GM and everything. I thought that would be a cool angle. But let's just like mess people up. Like that's what I saw it being.
Dave and I don't know for Thunder, but I'm a massive Zoey Stark fan.
Incredible.
We've had private conversations I was like, hey, why don't you get a t-shirt, a Stark mark, pitch it to WWE, all this stuff. I think it would get over. How come how come her name isn't up there with all of the women right now? Because I don't get it. And because in the ring, I'm the most impressed with her. And I'm impressed with every woman on the WWE roster because everybody can go. But then I watch her and I'm like, holy crap, how come she's not in these conversations? Your opinion, since you work so close with her.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. And I've said this in interviews. Zoey is bar none one of the most talented women, men performers in the ring that WWE has. I mean, the way she moves and makes everything look so organic, but so forceful at the same time, like she's unbelievable. And I think, and I don't mean this to come off wrong, but she moves more like a guy in the ring than some of the guys in the ring. Like she can just do things in a way that I'm like, holy shit, you're so talented. And she's so powerful. So I see her being a top star. I don't know that it's a matter of if, maybe just a matter of when, while she's kind of honing this evolution of her character and everything. I think I see her in the top card of the women for sure at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you. Like when she was in the Indies, she lived in Texas for a while, and I was a big fan of her. And I'd be like, "Bro, why are you not booked everywhere? Like you're so good." And then she got
She's so
into
good.
into WWE. So talking about her and your other partner, I was at a basketball game, and that some of the seniors were living right, and the girls were like talking about each other, like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do without you. Like you were like my rock." Like, how do the two, like your group, help each other, and how do you think your departure is going to affect, per se, like their morale after you're not in the locker room with them and traveling and having all these things with them?
So it's funny because before PFC, I wasn't close with either of them particularly. Not for any reason, we just
Hmm.
didn't talk much. And Zoe was newer to the locker room, and I had been away with my ACL, so I didn't see her much. But we became so close, and it was a really cool kind of dynamic. And I don't know if they want me exposing this, but Shayna's like the cool vet that's like been there, vet of life, by the way, like MMA for so long, and then WWE, obviously. And she was kind of just like cool, calm, collected, everything's fine. Zoe's like the feisty, hungry, like wants to do everything now, now, now. And then I was kind of like the middle ground that would be kind of the mediator amongst us all a lot of the time. We always joke about. We have such different personalities, but we all were like best friends. I mean, we were in catering together every week. We did everything every week together. So I miss them, but I think they're both going to soar. I think they both have so much to offer. Shayna is one of one. No one does what Shayna does in the ring. It's so unique. It's so different, and there's a place for it. And I hope she gets a shot to really show that and utilize that again. And like we said, Zoe's just a freak athlete.
Daria, was there somebody on the roster that you were just jonesing to get in the ring with and never had the opportunity to do it?
Rhea, probably. We've like touched in a tag match like with Becky like 5 years ago, I think, 4 years ago. I don't know, just from a dynamic perspective, I think we had cool characters that would have meshed well together in the ring. And she's just incredibly talented. So yeah, I think Rhea, Asuka and me had great chemistry, but not a lot of it was televised. We had a lot of good live event matches. So I always wanted a run with Asuka.
Do you look at like, hey, there are options in the world of pro wrestling outside of the WWE right now? It's never been hotter. So are you thinking about like possibly going on to some of these other companies?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it best. It's never been hotter. There's so much room for opportunity. And I think that's like something I've been feeling in the locker room lately before I got released was like the morale is so much better because there are options. So it's like before it was like feast or famine. It was like if you're, if you're not here, it's really hard to make a living outside of it. But now, yeah, it's looking optimistic and there's a lot of opportunities. I have talked to some organizations and some people, but I really just don't know yet. I'm not going to make any moves right this second. I'm still kind of processing things and planning out my future. But at the end of the day, yeah, whatever my heart feels is kind of the stage of my life that I'm in. I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. I want to do stuff that I feel passionate about.
That's very, very powerful, David, because for someone who was in a company for that long, one thing I will have to say, Daria, is like, I don't see you like getting lost and being just a professional wrestler. And how were you able to actually get to that point in these 10 years?
I don't know that I did it on purpose. I mean, I'm just such a hustler. I grew up with a blue collar dad who built a business from the ground up. And I kind of always just watched him do what he did. And I kind of emulated that in a lot of ways. I don't know how to sit still. I don't know how to stop. And so I've always kind of had my hands in a bunch of different things because I also enjoy doing a lot of different things. Me and my wife do a lot of real estate stuff. I enjoy doing that. The acting stuff, I've always enjoyed doing that. So I kind of always just, yeah. And I always was under the impression like WWE is not forever for anybody. Everybody gets that phone call at some time in their career. We've all been through it. So it's like, and I have a family to take care of and a wife. So I always had in the back of my mind, like, okay, whenever this ends, even if it was 10, 15 more years, I would still eventually need a retirement plan or need a game plan after. And so I always just kind of open my mind up to the fact that there's other things out there as well.
I got two things for you. Number one, how this business is, you get it, you've been involved in it. I'm looking for the next person who wants to be an announcer. I think you'd be great as an announcer, and I'm not talking a color person, I'm talking a lead announcer. There are very few lead announcers. Like, I don't think anyone wants to grow up and be a professional wrestling lead announcer, but also with MMA and all that stuff, because you speak so well. And if it's something passionate, it will come across. That's just me. My second part, if you never wrestle again, are you complete?
Ooh. Okay, first things first, the announcer thing. So that's funny you mentioned that. I've kind of made like a Daria verse chart that I go by, and I will say that is one of the bubbles on my chart.
Nice.
Somewhere in that you're close, somewhere in that world, because I do love talking. I love to hear myself talk, and I love combat sports and wrestling. So that is something that is kind of in my peripheral. And then, will I be content if I never wrestle again?
With your career and your body of work that you did.
I will say, before I got released, I felt like the best was yet to come.
That's a great answer.
Good.
Yeah.
So then the answer still is yes, the best is yet to come. Trust me. I know it will happen.
I love it.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, so Daria, if you're like on the indie scene, right?
Tell me.
What would be the one song you would want as your entrance theme if you could choose your own music?
Oh, well, the music I walked out to for my MMA fights was Till I Collapse by Eminem.
Nice.
That's one of my favorite songs. I'm like a big, big, big Eminem fan. So maybe some Eminem.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Hopefully we get the opportunity to see that. I would love that.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thunder,
Appreciate
keep
the time.
kicking ass. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
I've been seeing from afar, and everyone I know that knows you says nothing but positive things. So I just wanted to tell you, keep kicking ass. You're doing awesome over there.
Thank you, Daria. Means a lot. You
Oh, wait,
really does.
Daria, before
Thank
you go, how about this Cena asshole with what he did on Saturday? What the hell's up with this guy?
I loved it.
See,
loved
David?
it.
David has rabies because he's a Cody Crybaby, so he's mad about
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for story purposes and just for like the overall arching career of John Cena, like it had to happen, and it was. I mean, how cool that it happened in his retirement tour.
It was an amazing. I said on the air today, I think it's the greatest heel turn of all time, and without a doubt, in the greatest pro wrestling moment in the last 25 years.
Hands down. Yeah, I'm with you. And I love Cena. So to see this side of him that we haven't seen, I mean, yeah, we're witnessing professional wrestling history right
Really
here.
are. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time. Congratulations on everything and good luck. And yes, you're going to have, I think it's official. You're going to have me as a guest on Unwrapped, and we're going to get a beat.
Done.
All right.
Booked.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.